Yo, we're back with another solo leveling Arise video. And today we're going to be going over one of the encore stages. The one that we're going to be specifically going over is Arachnid, Arachnid tier 10. Now, this is going to be more of a guideline and showcase of how to perform on it and what you're planning to do and what characters you should use to help you overcome this obstacle, because this is going to be a main key point in when you're farming the game, and this is basically going to be your end game until they release the other tower modes and stuff like that, where we'll get better gear and stuff like that, right? So let's go into actually first. I'd like to talk about the characters first a little bit, and then what kind of team kind of scenario you would run. Because of course you're going to be using hunters. You're not going to be using Sun Jin Woo. You're going to be using hunters. So you're going to have three characters, and we're going to be talking about the characters that you most likely want to use to get through it, right? So first off, we're going to be talking about the first character in your first slot. So the first character in your first slot, in my opinion, I would prefer that you would use a character that increases damage taken, whether it be Min or even Lee Bora. Now, of course, the boss is weak to light, so preferably Min, right? But if you don't have anybody else, Lee Bora works just as fine, right? It takes a little bit more time because he's not as quick as Min, but you can use her. She is completely fine. You just have to take your time and be mindful of the enemy, right? Another character you can use if you do not have them is King, but do remember that you do need to have a certain amount of dupes in him, so that way you're able to increase the damage taken. So like you need to have at least 3 dupes in him so you can get that damage taken increase, which is super important, right? So that's another option, right? So your 3 options for damage taken increase is going to be Min, Lee Bora, or Kang. Now for your second slot in your team. Now I prefer that you have a character that can break the boss, right? The boss has a big portion of, like, he has a break gauge and it recovers, right? And of course you do reduce damage if they have a break gauge. So naturally you want to have someone who can break frequently, so that way you're able to inflict good damage to the boss. Now there's a couple options here, right? Now you have Yu Jinho. Yu Jinho is for your as your free to play option, right? Yu Jinho does a lot for you, right? He can give you shield. He can do break. He could do healing. He could do damage. Not crazy amounts of damage, but he could passively do damage just by applying his aura, which you will get from dupes, which is easy because you will get free dupes from doing your challenges, right? But yeah, you're basically just using him just because he can break, right? Now they're not big breaks; they're just like medium and weak breaks, which kind of sucks. But he's a good option because the boss is weak to light, so they're kind of a little bit better than normal. There's also you could also use Emma. I wouldn't like entirely recommend Emma, but you can use Emma if you need to inflict break. You just want to have a break character as your second character, right? Is going to help you do so much more damage, and being able to break this boss who has constant like invincibility frames and animation times. You just want him to be down as much as possible and being able to burst down this boss as quick as you can, because if not, then it could ultimately lead you to a long prolonged run, or even failing the run, right? Now for your final, and of course, I excuse me. Let me talk about this the best character that you would use in your second spot. It would be Baek Yoonho. He is going to be the best character. He was practically made for Arachnid. He inflicts break, right? Medium, heavy break. Like, he does break on his normals, his autos. He inflicts defense down. That makes him even more valuable in it, right? Which means if you have Min, you'll be able to inflict increased damage taken, and then if you have Bake, then on top of that, you'll be able to decrease their defense, and while being able to break the boss, which will then lead up into your main DPS, who we are going to talk about right now. I do like to note though, if you do have a lot of dupes in Bake, you're actually able to use him as your main DPS as well, just to keep that in mind, right? He can be your main DPS, so he can fill the role of your second member and your third member. So that way, in your second slot, you're able to put whoever you feel like it, whether it be another break character. Now, let's just move on. That's just a notable mention. But now you have your final slot. So your final slot can actually be a plethora of things. Now, you can actually do this with a lot of characters. Uh, you don't necessarily need this character, but it would be the best character, right? So first up, your best character that you would use to actually finalize your actual DPS behind your increased damage taking character and your defense down and break character would be your main DPS, which it would be Chae, and she's going to be the absolute best character for this mode because for Arachnid tier 10 because she does so much damage. She has type advantage. She inflicts branded on the target. She also inflicts unrecoverable, which basically makes it so that the boss is not able to regain HP. And basically, if you have done the spider boss, the Arachnid, you will know that this boss does have an animation time where he does recover HP. And thank God that the unrecoverable lasts for 30 seconds, practically making the spider HP recover practically useless. So you don't have to worry about the spider recovering about 20-30 bars of HP, since he does it like 2 times, which is very annoying and upsetting if you're trying to go for the 3 stars, right? So that way you get the increased damage dealt, or the damage taken decrease as well, those buffs. Now, you don't have to use Chae. So before Chae actually released, I was actually using Huang Dong-soon, right? So he's actually very viable as well, right? Like, naturally, you just need a DPS who isn't, how do I put it? You need a DPS that the boss isn't strong against. So I believe the boss is strong against Dark. Let me just check real quick. I might be mistaking it for a different boss, but I believe the boss itself, yeah, is Dark. So naturally, you do not want to use any Dark characters. You want to use any other DPS character which isn't Dark, right? So you can use Chae. She's going to be your best option. I used Huang before Chae even released, so I was able to beat it 3-star using Huang. So it is definitely possible. Don't let anybody tell you that you cannot beat it without Chae. Like that's a lie. It's completely wrong. It's like you can beat it with other characters. I used Huang to beat it. I even have a recording of it just in case if people doubt it. But it's like, you might say, oh, it's 5 dupes. I was using him way long before 5 dupes. I can guarantee you that he was able to do it without even 5 dupes. 5 dupes just help the process and make it a lot faster and smoother. But he can beat it because I still had over 2 minutes of time left with Huang, right? I still had 2 minutes of time left with Huang. In those 2 minutes, I guarantee you I could beat the boss even if I was no dupe. Next up, you have your Sayo. Sayo, she can do it as well. She also applies a little bit of break. So, like, if you use her in tandem with break, you'll be having constant breaks. She's a very good DPS character, very good sustainable character. Nothing more to say about that. You could use Emma, like I said earlier. She's a good DPS character. She does break. She kind of is also well for the boss as well. If you have Parkegian, I've been building her out. I'm going to be testing her out a lot later, and I might make a video on her as well. And depending on how she goes, this is just a theory. I believe that she could probably do the boss as well, but don't quote me on this. This is just a theory. I will get her built out. I'll test her myself, and then actually see if she's going to be very viable or not. Because like I practically have her like best in slot with everything. It's like, so she's ready to go. So I just need to level her up and get her weapon up. And then of course you have Choi. Choi is also a spectacular unit to use into it. He gives defense down. He does good damage. The only issue is once you use all your skills and your ult and then use your skills again, that's kind of it. You're kind of just a sitting duck. Where in other areas, Chae and characters like Huang Dong-soon, they're able to consistently keep outputting his damage, or even Sayo, because they could keep spamming. They got like they have more stacks into their skills, meaning they're able to use it more multiple times, right? Like Sayo, she could obviously reset her cooldowns on her skills and then spam them again. And then of course, Chae, she's able to continuously spam her first skill. The dancer multiple times as long as you're critting, and then you obviously have Huang, who has like his first skill has like 3 stacks of it, and then his second skill is 2 stacks of it, and then you have his ult. So basically, in that entire combo, you'll do like a tremendous amount of damage. So yeah, that's about it on the characters. So like I said, first character is going to be a damage taken increased character. Your second character will be a break character. If they can have defense down like Bake, that is better. You basically kind of have to change up your team depending on who your third character is going to be. So if you use Emma, she's going to have break. You can use any break character, or you could just use a defense down character like Choi. It all kind of depends, right? It kind of depends on what you have. So, unfortunately, I do not have any keys. So we are going to use some diamonds to get some keys. because I completely forgot I didn't have any keys. So I'm just gonna do one, so that way I'm able to showcase it in two different scenarios, right? We'll do one with Chae, and then we'll do one with we'll do one with Huang. Now, keep in mind, I've already 3-starred this boss, right? So I can't necessarily say that you're going to be doing the damage that I am doing, but this will help. This is basically more of a guideline to help you understand the boss, how you want to react to the boss, and then basically, defeat the boss, right? Like the main importance is defeating boss, not the 3-star. The 3-star is a bonus that's added on to make your life easier, right? So this is my Spider 10 team. This is the team I'm using to run Spider 10, right? Arachnid 10. I have my damage taken increase character, Min, best in slot in my opinion, for your first slot. Then you have your second character, which is Big. He's going to be the absolute best character in this content, no matter what. You want to have him. If you do not have him, well, then you're just going to have to use another break character. But he's the best because he breaks, he inflicts defense down, and then obviously, I mean, that's all about it, right? Like he breaks and he inflicts defense down, he has type advantage. So he's the best character for this. Then your third slot will be a DPS character. If you have Chae, that's going to be your best option. If you don't have Chae, then just use any DPS character you have, right? Like I said before, I don't want to keep repeating myself, but I was using Huang, so right? So I'll show you how I play it when I'm using just Huang, right? And then I'll show you how I play it when I'm using Chae, because there's a little bit to note where the boss does regain HP, but I'm using Huang, so I'm going to deal more damage. A lot of people are going to have Chae, so you're definitely going to want to be using Chae in this scenario and not Huang, right? Right? Going to bait. Boom. Unfortunately, I got bind, so I'm not doing the best run, but that's how it is. Right? And then I go into my DPS character. Unfortunately, I already lost the defense down. Right? So I already dropped him to 50. He's already at 50. And this is basically how you play this one, right? So you don't stay in Min, you stay as a different character, right? Whenever you see and you move to each white spider, and every time you move to each white spider, you'll see that they get super armor. That's when you have to actually start running away from them, because that's when they will proc and explode and self-destruct. And you don't want to get hit because you'll get lethargy, kind of like how I have right now. And basically what this lethargy does is it makes you very, very slow, and this could basically hinder your run. Ultimately, you could lose from the entire run just from lethargy alone, right? Because it makes you super slow, and that's not good. You're trying to beat in time. You're trying to actually get the quest done, right? Boom. I'll just hit a little bit more to get so I get that defense down, and then we'll move into Huang. Use my first skill. We'll dodge. Do this. And boom, boss is dead. Simple as that, right? All right, keep in mind, I've already got this 3-starred, right? And my Huang is max dupe right now. So it's going to be very fast and easy for me, right? But that's kind of how you want to like navigate through the stage. This one's actually pretty nice. That's kind of how you want to navigate through the stage. Now, we're going to go back and we're going to use Chae. I'm going to see if I can try to do this as best as possible to explain how you run the stage. Because since I did so much damage there, it was kind of like difficult to actually showcase the stage, right? So what I'll do is we'll have Chae here, and should I put you Jinho? Now we'll just do it like this. That's fine. It doesn't really matter too much. You're gonna use a break character. It doesn't have to necessarily be you Jinho. Having Bake is the best option for its defense decrease, making it faster run for you. So you're gonna start, and then the first thing you're gonna do is obviously apply your skills, so that way you can get defense down. If you can extreme evasion, perfect, so you can start swapping into your second character to immediately start breaking the boss, right? Right? My Bake has a lot of damage and a lot of breaks, so I usually keep them on the field longer, so that way I can full break them. But if you can't, just swap straight into your DPS character, right? Right? Yeah, I put it to 25, right? He's gonna go up. He's not gonna regen because basically he has inflicted unrecoverable. So basically what you do on this stage is you run up to the spiders, you wait until they turn blue. That's when they get super armor. You know they're going to explode. You run away from them, right? Another thing to note is do not walk on the spider webs, because if you walk on the spider webs, it still inflicts lethargy on you, which will then ruin your run. Go in again. As you can see, he didn't gain any HP, so this makes your fight so much more smooth. Of course, in my case, I did it without, ooh, that actually sucks. That's very unfortunate. But with a little mess up, that's fine, because that means in your cases, if you aren't as stacked as me and you're more of a new player, you know you're able to do it, right? Like if you play perfectly, you know that you're gonna be able to actually achieve what you want. And I'm doing this with as much mess ups as possible, with lethargy and everything, right? But yeah, just try to keep a consistent frequency, like on like the unrecoverable. Boom. Oh, and there it is. Dead. Completely dead. Boss is done. Zo. It is simple as that. So I'll just go over a quick summary. You're going to start off the fight. You're going to have Min out. You're going to use his second skill, right, to inflict the damage taken increase. You're going to go as fast as possible as you can into your break character. Do as much break as you can, right? If you're not able to do it in one cycle like I do, just do half, right? And then go into your third character is your DPS, which will be Chae or whoever else. Do as much damage as you can in that time being. If you're using Chae, try to keep inflict unrecoverable, because I believe once he hits like 40 HP bars, it might be 50 something HP bars, but around there, he's gonna go up. So you want to make sure that they have unrecoverable. So when he goes up to the top, he's not healing, right? And that will make your life so much easier. When he comes back down, do damage, right? Once he starts to fall, wait, before I get into that timeline, basically when he goes back up, right? You're gonna have all the little spiders on the floor and everything. The white spiders are all you really have to worry about avoiding. You don't care about the green spiders. So you don't get overwhelmed by all the white spiders running around and exploding and stuff. What I do is I run to them until they activate super armor. When you see that they activate super armor, it's when they turn all blue. You run away from them, so that way when they explode and self-destruct, all the webs fall on the floor or whatever, and then basically just don't go back to that web. If you touch that web, you're going to inflict lethargy on yourself, and of course try to dodge those white spiders, because they're the only ones that inflict lethargy on you, and they could ruin your run very badly. You'll be extremely slow, you'll attack less. It's really bad. And then when the big spider comes back down, when the arachnid comes back down, you go back, you switch into your min. You have to switch into your min, because remember, you want to get the disguise buff, so that way when you inflict your increased damage taken, it's 15%, not 5%. And then you go ham again. You do what you got to do. You try to break the boss again, and then you go into your third character once again to finally output as much damage. If you're using Chae, remember when they get to around 20 HP bars, you might want to do it a little bit before. When you're getting close to 20 HP bars, use your second skill so you can inflict unrecoverable, because at 20 HP bars he'll go back up to the top, and then that's necessarily when he's going to start healing. And then you rinse and repeat the process again with the white spiders, dodging the white spiders, like going up to them, wait until they turn blue, they get super armor, they're going to explode, you run away from them, and then you just dodge the webs on the floor, right? And then you just wait until he comes back down, and then you finish off the boss. It's very simple. It's nothing too unique, right? I tried to show it to you again, but I don't have any more keys, so I'm just trying to explain it as best as possible. From what I did show you a little bit of kind of what you had to do, but I thought I'd explain it a little bit more in detail. Pardon me for a little bit of the mess ups and backtracking a little bit. I just want to make sure that I get every little piece of info out that you can understand. And sometimes I just do these videos raw, like straight up, like I just do them on the spot. I do try to plan some things, but I prefer it just to be raw, spot on, without any crazy pre-planning, because we all make mistakes, and having mistakes isn't too bad, because this can show you at the lowest level rather than the highest level. If you can do it at the lowest level, then at the highest level, then boom, you're going to be able to achieve that and be able to beat it if you play perfectly, right? And basically I got, 1 minute 48 seconds. So, it could have been better, but it is what it is, right? Now I'm gonna go into the characters real quick and then show what kind of artifacts I was using on them, so that way you can have an understanding of what artifacts you might want to use for your characters to help you beat this. Character I used was Min. Min's artifacts aren't super important, but in my case, I like to use the Power Gotch. The reason I use the Power Gotch, and excuse me for not having accessories, which means you could do so much better if you do have accessories, like, I don't know, Aquamarine or something else, right? Increasing the team's attack rather than increasing nothing. But you can do so much better. The reason I have the Power Gouge set is because I do like to have a Power Gouge acquisition rate by 20%. I also like having 50% and increasing your team's Power Gouge, because then the quicker that your entire team gets Power Gouge, the more damage you do. This game is more about speed running than anything, and in my opinion, I still prefer using the Power Gouge over the HP, because the HP is going to give you like what? I think how much attack? It's just going to give your what's it called? Your team members attack by 8%. I prefer to just get your power gauge as quickly as possible. You'll do more damage with the power gauge, like filling up completely, because you're trying to speed run this, right? 8% attack is not going to be the end of the world, right? There's so many other ways to compensate for 8% more attack. So I just use Power Gouge, get everybody's Power Gouge, including his, which means you'll be able to get his ultimate up, and then you'll be able to output your damage, right? And then same for the rest of your team, right? You're basically getting 3 people's ultimate gauge up a lot quicker. So in my opinion, I like to use the Power Gouge set on him. I know other people use the HP set. I think the Power Gouge set is the best for him. He's a support character. Yes, attack is good, 8% attack, but having in a Power Gouge by 20% for your entire team is just so much better, at least in my opinion. So either way, aside from this, you don't need this, but this helps me speedrun a lot of content. You could just have whatever. You just need Min for his increased damage taken. That's all you really need him for. Swap into him and using his skill to increase damage taken, and then his ult, of course. And then my big, of course, he's on a break set. Naturally, you would have him on a break set. He's trying to break the boss. His damage is fine. You just want to break the boss, though. In most cases, you're using him because of his break anyways, so just use the break set. There's no reason for you not to use the break set. If you're just trying to use him as DPS, go for it. But when you do need a break character, he's the best break character. So, like, I mean, if he's not on the break set, what are you doing, right? So just make a break set. If you want to make a secondary set for him so he could be a DPS for you, go for it. But I'd recommend making a break set for him first. And then obviously have Viridescent to increase his skill damage. Like increase his damage, right? And then increase how fast he gets his base skill cooldowns, because I mean that's how you break them, right? His basic skills do a lot of heavy breaks, so that's what you want to get them as fast as possible to be able to break them. That's how I'm able to usually break them in one rotate, like once I swap into him, I'm able to break them in one session of it, because I mean I have Viridescent, so it lets me get back my first skill quick, so I'm able to use 3 skills, even 4 if I'm lucky, right? And then finally for Chae, for damage, this is going to be your items, pretty standard, the crit set and then the behemoth set. You don't have to use these if you're trying to do as much damage as possible. If you're trying to speed run, probably skeleton's better, because you could just take the damage straight up. Like, it will take you like 5 seconds maybe to get to below threshold, but you'll do way significant more damage than the executioners, the behemoth. But I prefer the behemoth because you can just stay healthy and all you have to do is lower the boss HP. It's more flexible for me, at least, right? But you can use a bunch of other things. Even champion on field is good as well for her. And then if you're using Huang, of course, in his case, Dragon Knights, and then you can use Viridescent as secondary. And then if you're using Sail, crits, and then Behemoths, you don't have to use Behemoth. You can use Viridescent. The problem with Viridescent is she already resets her own cooldowns, and you don't want to run out of MP, because that is going to be a big issue for her, running out of MP. Because she does spam a lot. So you have a lot of MP usage. So you don't want to run out of that. But other than that, that's going to be basically the equips that I had on the characters. It doesn't take a lot. You just really have to have your main DPS built and maybe your breaker a little bit tad built. Min doesn't really matter too much. I just have these on him because power gauge increase, like, for your team is good. But overall, that's basically going to be how you do tier 10 Arachnid. Now, try to explain it as much as possible, give you as much a detailed rundown of it as possible. I even showcased it in 2 different scenarios. As you can see with Huang, I was able to just nuke the boss, but of course he's 5 dupe, right? But that's basically how you're gonna run the boss and how you're gonna try to navigate through the boss to try to beat it as quick as you can. It's it's not a very difficult boss. It's just an annoying boss, if you understand what I'm saying. Him going up and healing, if you have Chae, that just cancels out the entire thing. And then obviously you have the white spiders. The white spiders constantly inflicting lethargy. So just like I told you before, run up to them and get them to proc, right? And then you won't have to worry too much about them. And then you can just go straight back to beaming the boss and then beating it, right? That way you're able to get the highest difficulty and get the best type of gear drops that you can possibly get, have the highest rates for your golds that you need, the legendaries, and only get golds and purples, right? So that way you're not picking up blues from like tier 8 or nothing, right? But yeah, that's going to be the end of the video. I hope this was a well-detailed explanation. I tried my best as possible to explain it as much as I can. It's very difficult to actually showcase these kind of things once I already have it 3-starred. So I just tried to show a guideline of the actual fight and everything, so that way you know how it is. Because of course, I'm going to do more damage than most people because those who haven't 3-starred, they aren't going to get that increased damage dealt and that damage taken decrease, right? So I just tried to show what you can do versus the boss rather than how you fight not how you fight the boss, but the order and routine and things that you have to do. That's how I'm showing it to you so you can kind of imitate it and then apply it to yourself because of course I'm going to do more damage than a lot of other people because of the buff from 3-starring the stage. Unfortunately, but there's no other way around it, so I can only really show you how to do it. I can't really give you the exact guide of to do it. But other than that, that's the end of the video. I appreciate you guys for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, whatever, engagement is key to the, growth of this channel. So stay blessed. Peace.